Morning, everybody. I boy, I tell you, people won't leave you alone some days. Anyways, good morning, 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on Friday, 26th of February in the year of whatever. Hey, little update here on my end. I had a dear friend who I was a good friend to, as was he to me, who was 70 years old. His name was Al. He lived alone. The guy had managed to beat fourth stage lung cancer. Lost his life partner of 36 years to a heart attack 4 years ago. And since then had lived alone and was on oxygen through the nose 24 hours a day. And he was about 5'8", and I think at the time of his death probably weighed about 105 pounds. So he's very thin, but he was a dear friend to me. And I know I meant the world to him. Well, anyways, him and I wouldn't go more than a day or so talking, texting, it's kind of how we were. And he lived in Mill Creek and I live in Layton, so that's about 32 miles, And there were times that, he'd call me at weird hours to talk, or if he was having a problem. And I was his primary caregiver, as it were, that would help him with things, or he'd get frustrated, and I'd kind of help him make sense of things. And he always told me, he says, when you're around, things make a lot more sense and go better. And I said, well, sometimes two heads are better than one, But anyways, last week was a kind of a busy week and all, and things were going on, and I noticed a few days went by and I didn't hear from him. And my girlfriend said, have you heard from Al? And I said, I haven't, and I was thinking about that today. And this was last Friday. And I called him a few times and there was no answer on his phone. So last Saturday I went down to his house and I noticed that his truck was sitting in the driveway, but it clearly looked like it hadn't been moved because there was still snow surrounding it on the ground from a previous snowstorm. And when I headed to the front door, there was a box from UPS in front of the door and quite a bit of mail in his mailbox. That is, in the older houses, the little mailbox with the flip top, it's anchored to the wall. And that's not a good sign to me, and not answering my calls when I'd call or responding to my voicemails is very out of character. So I had the pass key to his house. So you just punch in some digits on this little keypad and unlocks the door. So, I go in and the TV's on. It's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon last Saturday, right? And when you come into his house, you're immediately in the family room, right? And I'm looking at his rocking recliner chair, and to the left of it is the couch, and there's nobody sitting there. I said, "Hey, Al," and Scott, and I took a second step into the house, and my eyes kind of panned downward, and he was lying on the floor on his left side between the couch and the coffee table, and it was abundantly clear that he was gone. Let me tell you something, folks. It does not get more surreal than that, When you see someone, doesn't matter who it is, but especially someone that is dear to you, and you're dear to them, and they're gone on the floor, and you look closer, and their glasses are 1.5 feet above their head, and their oxygen is about 1 foot away from them, and there's dry blood coming out of the person's nose that had kind of stained the carpet, and the forehead starting to turn blue. Well, anyways, I went through his house and made sure that there wasn't, anything of that would be construed incorrectly or would be derogatory to his legacy, because that's what a good friend would do. And what it was, it doesn't matter, but I found it and got rid of it. And I called 911 and gave him a report. And, the fire truck and the ambulance, paramedics show up within about 15 minutes of that. Called my girlfriend, she was getting off work and she wanted to come down and be with me, which was very thoughtful of her. And she knew him too. He was at our place for Thanksgiving and other times for dinner. So when the paramedics came, they confirmed his death and that he had been dead approximately 3 days. Well, it had been about 4 days since I talked to him, and 4 days actually since I'd last saw him. So in my estimations, I think it's safe to say that I was the last person that he ever saw in life, and most likely talked to. And it really wasn't that much of a shock that he was dead, per se, because he was living on borrowed time, and he knew it, I knew it. But sometimes, we catch a buzz together. The guy was a warrior, and I was always telling him, look, sit still. I'll take care of whatever it is you need, because him just getting out of his chair and walking 15 feet into the kitchen would be like you and me going for a quarter-mile sprint. We would be totally out of breath and exhausted. But I helped him with many things, picking up prescriptions, medication disbursement, bank withdrawals and deposits, helping him set appointments, sometimes getting him to appointments depending on the roads and the weather. And him and I were pretty close for almost a year and a half. So now I'm dealing with his older sister, who is his only surviving heir in her family, and they don't know anything about his business. And I know he wasn't close to her, so that was by design. And now I've gotten a call from a woman in Idaho Falls, who was his former partner's sister. So she's a sister-in-law, and she says, I really would appreciate it if you could give me a call, and I have, and we're going to talk later. And she's the executor of his estate, and wants more details of what happened, because he was cremated, and I had to talk with a lady at a funeral home about, who his primary doctor was, because nobody in the family seemed to know except me. And but yet no one in the family knew of me. So I guess that was his little secret or something, but that's fine. I've been people's secret before. But all the same, I tracked down his doctor, and he was going to sign for the funeral home crematorium, for the death certificate. Because you got to have that if a body and or, in this case, cremated remains go to the next of kin, which would be his sister. And the plan that I remember him telling me about, and I think it's accurate, is that his cremated remains will be sent to Idaho and buried in the family plot of his former partner of 36 years. And that'll be his resting place. So there was no services or viewing. So I've been asked to do, a lot of work. No charge. That's what a good friend does. And it's been an exhausting week, and if I look tired and haggard, I am. That's a lot to process. I haven't even really had a whole lot of time to grieve over it. But I just thought I'd share, and we've been dealing with a lot of death lately, whether it's musicians, sports personalities, Hank Aaron died a few weeks ago. We have a new president, there's always something going on. And that's how life works, But I don't let a lot of people close to me, and I have my reasons why, and it's wise, if you're going to have people close to you, make sure they're the right people for the right reasons. And it's just a lot to take in when you lose somebody. You just don't. Sometimes you just don't know what to do or have the right words to say. But things are starting to slow down a little bit. I'm going to talk with his sister-in-law this afternoon, who's in Idaho, and fill her in, because she told me in a message that she's in the dark, and I'll help her with all that. But I do know this, that when he passed away, him and I were right, and I know in my heart that if anyone was going to find him deceased, he would want it to be me. And like I said before, many times, you don't know where you're going to be tomorrow, or next week, or next month, next year. But if someone means something to you, always tell them, whether you're on the phone or in person, that you love them, or however you feel, because you don't know, that might be the last. Right? And in this case, I saw him last Tuesday night, so 10 days ago, and it looks like he might have died the following day. And it was a sudden death. I'm thinking it was either cerebral stroke or heart attack, one of the two. But he was ready, and but then the living have to take care of everything, and I did that with my parents years ago. But like I said, don't take the people that you love in your life for granted, and if you've got something to say, say it. If you've got a hatchet to bury, bury it. There's no guarantees of what the future's going to hold. And I just know he's in a better place, and I know I did him right. I found him. And like I said, if there was anything laying around the house that might have been of some embarrassment to him, I know where it was and what it was, and I got rid of it. And that's the right thing to do. Always protect your loved ones. Never let them hang out to dry, or take them for granted. So you guys be good this weekend and take care of each other. And to those who hear and see this, I love you, because if you do hear it and see it, you're someone of importance to me. And just know that I love you guys, each and every one of you. Okay? Peace out.